Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine, and today we're so blessed to have an amazing guest. His name is Curt Graves, and he is the superintendent over in Missouri at a wonderful school that's K through 12, all in one building, and that is in Crawford County School District in
Yes,
Yuba?
Cuba.
Cuba.
In Cuba, Missouri, Crawford County R2.
Thank you, sir. I messed it up and Curt came in to save the day. So thanks for helping me with that. So this is awesome. Curt, thank you, man, for being here. And our listeners would just love to get to know you and to learn more about you. How did you end up, becoming a superintendent? That's a big deal.
Well, it's a long journey, a 27-year journey. And really, if you date back, it's probably closer to 30. So when I first went to college, I just wanted to play some basketball and didn't know what my major would be. I ended up in Sterling College in Sterling, Kansas, at a little NAIA school. And I had a great professor in the education world. And I had decided my senior year, that I was going to get married. And I kind of needed a job and a way to support a family, that sort of thing. So I had a professor that was in the education world, and he said something about, hey, maybe you need to think about education. And so it honestly was not on my radar up front. I had other aspirations and started talking with him and got into a few education classes. And from there, it just rolled. It became a passion. I wanted to coach. And for a long time, I thought I might want to be a college basketball coach. But anyway, got my degree and actually started teaching right there in Sterling, Kansas. Had the greatest teaching gig in the world. I got to be in the classroom with my science students in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, I put on my PE gear and I got to go play all afternoon and rolled that right into coaching in the evening. I did that for 10 years while I got my master's degree and everything. Rolled into being a principal. Had a couple of great school districts I worked for as a principal. Did that for 14 years. And then prior to this year being superintendent, I was the assistant superintendent here in this district for 4 years, worked for a great superintendent. I would say, I've had some great leaders to follow and learn from all along the way. And so networking has been a huge thing. And this year, having a good network and a support when you're in a new position is just absolutely the best resources are those that are in the trenches with you. So,
and that's incredible. And thank you for what you do, Curt. 30 years, almost 30 years in the school system. That's incredible. So you've helped a lot of kids. And I think you were a tennis coach, a track coach, basketball coach. Yeah. Well, probably.
One of the craziest things people don't know is I spent 9 seasons coaching middle school girls volleyball. I still probably have bus drivers that have nightmares over that, because every home game or every away game, when we would come back into town, my volleyball team would do a chant. My volleyball girls, I would let them drop the windows on the bus, and we would drive down Main Street before we would go back to the school, and we would do a bear cub, a Sterling black bear. We were the Cubs in the middle school. We would do a cub chant down the main street of town every time we'd come home for a volleyball game. This is one of the greatest things, but our bus drivers absolutely hated that.
That's hilarious. Man, that's cool. And so you've given so much of your time. That's awesome. And what that kind of lens kind of just flows right into the next question of that long journey you had helping students along their journey. When you were a kid growing up, did you have anything that you struggled with? Like a lot of kids struggle with anxiety or depression, or just feeling like they don't fit in, or maybe they're bullied, or was there anything that you struggled with when you were growing up?
I had a great support system. My parents were tremendous. They were also our youth ministers for the local area youth group and in our church. So I had a great support system. I would say at the same time, at an early age, there was some separation based on what my lifestyle choices were and what my integrity was determined to be and how I was going to live. But again, you know, we all have our crosses to bear and our burdens. But I was really blessed as a kid. I had everything I ever needed. I had great support. I had great teachers, great coaches that mentored me or guided me along the way. My biggest struggle was I was just immature. I was just one of those immature boys that I'm not sure how I even survived my freshman year of college. I was so immature, but you know, we all mature emotionally and socially at different rates and at different phases of our lives. And I was just really immature, but I had a lot of people that were tolerant. And again, I had a lot of great people in my life that were support systems that helped me along the way. And so my struggle was just bad decisions, poor decisions, immature decisions as a kid. So.
When you're right, you were very blessed to have a good support system, you know, in place, because a lot of kids don't. So that is a big blessing. That's wonderful. And as the superintendent of your school, are you noticing certain programs that you have maybe in-house or programs that you bring in throughout the year to support your kids with their SEL, social emotional learning needs, and their emotional health needs, and their, in particular, their mental health needs? Are you guys noticing anything that's working really well that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, I'm sure listeners across the country would agree that is a continuously growing problem. What I see today, or what I even saw 15 years ago, pales in comparison to what I see today. Mm-hmm. But you know, a couple of really cool programs we have recently started. We just started 2 this year that are just awesome. We work with a company called Compass Health, which is a mental health organization. And we actually now have a school-based therapist on our campus 4 days a week. We are, and maybe I'll back up and tell you, our school district, we're in South Central Missouri, and we have a large free and reduced lunch population, a significantly large low SES population. And so if I have students that need mental health support, it's a burden in South Central Missouri to get someplace to where those resources are available. So we have a school-based social worker on campus. We started this program with Compass Health, and we have a school-based therapist then that is here, and we'll meet with kids as needed. And we actually have one counselor in the elementary, 1 in middle school, and 2 in the high school.
Great.
We have a school-based social worker for K-12 who does a fantastic job as well. And then we have a school-based therapist on site this year. And so kids can be referred there, and they never have to leave school. And parents don't have to figure out gas money, transportation, those sorts of things, because the level of need has increased, not just the volume of need, but the severity and the level of need has increased. And so having a school-based therapist on campus 4 days a week to support kids and meet with kids is invaluable. One of the other cool things we're doing is we have a mobile care unit that comes on Mondays. And so we can do preventative health. We can do any sort of testing. We help kids get immunizations and things that are required for school. And it's all grant-based. And so it's at no cost really to our students. And the goal and the aim is to keep kids in school, obviously. And so if we can help a kid get healthy, help a kid get seen by a medical personnel on campus, then they're not spending a half a day or a full day out of school, letting work bog down. You know, that there's so many intricate pieces that happen when kids aren't in school, and their attendance and the support system. So adding those 2 programs this year has been just awesome. It's keeping our kids in school, but it's also giving resources immediately. It's been well received. Lots of questions, obviously, when you start a new program from parents about what's going to happen, what can and can't happen there. But two great companies, organizations that have been great to work with, that provide a lot of resources for our kids. But you know, day in and day out, our counselors are in the trenches, our principals are in the trenches, and they're meeting with kids. We encourage our staff to be out and about and being personal with our kids and building relationships. We start everything based off of a relationship. In fact, I spend, with our campus being one large campus, I spend roughly an hour and a half almost every day walking buildings, doing check-ins with our principals, greeting kids in the hallways or classrooms, talking to our teachers. It honestly drives my secretarial staff here in my office nuts, but it is so invaluable to be out and build relationships with people, and just to have that connectivity back to the classroom and back to the kids, because ultimately that's what we're here for. We're here for the well-being of kids, and so getting out there is just a priority for us.
You know, it's so great, Curt. And I think the one word you said that really resonated with me is building relationships with the kids.
Absolutely.
Because there are a lot of kids that may not feel comfortable going to the counselor that you have, right? And because they may feel shame, they may feel like there's something wrong with them and they may not go. But if you're out there building relationships and talking with them and encouraging them that, you know, there is a place if they want to share and open up with someone, that's so great you're doing that, because that's what's going to help.
We do that universally. If you come to our campus, our principals are out, our principals are about. My elementary principal is one of my greeters at the door every morning and opens car doors for our kids.
Awesome.
You know, nothing helps more than to see a smiling face, but there's a leadership skill there that it starts from the top down in modeling some of those behaviors that you want from your staff and from your students. And so if we can show a positive attitude, if we can show that we're building relationships, and if we can show that we're communicating, that becomes precipitous through the whole district.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great, man. You're doing really good work. And is there anything else that I missed, Curt? Like maybe that I didn't ask, or something you want to share that you feel is really important for our listeners to hear?
I will tell you, I think, you know, we spend a lot of time at least talking about kids, and that's so important. Don't want to diminish that. One of the things that we're spending a lot of time in our district right now talking mental health and wellness is about our staff. Mm-hmm. and about our administrators. If they're not well and if they're not healthy, it's hard to look out for our kids. And so I would just tell you, man, I worked in education where I worked daylight to dark, and I remember one time my oldest son, now he's a junior in high school now, but when he was in first or second grade, he made a comment to me of, "Dad, are you going to be home this week?" And that changed my mindset a little bit. So I would say to anybody listening, not only do we have to look out for our kids, but we need to look out for our staff. We need to look out for those building level administrators. We need to look out for our teachers. And we need to look out for ourselves a little bit. And so I will tell you, that was one thing I talked to our board about in the interview process, was we're going to use our vacation days, and we're going to take care of ourselves, because if we're not mentally and healthily prepared, it's hard to do this job, especially in these times.
Absolutely. No, that's such a great point. I'm glad you shared that, because a lot of our listeners are teachers or on the admin side or parents. And for them to hear that it's important for them to take some time and take care of themselves, you know, and have some self-care is so critical, because you're right. If the leader falls apart, you know, everyone underneath starts to feel that pain and pressure as well. So that's a whole entire healthy community, healthy staff, healthy parents, healthy kids. So yeah, man, thank you, Curt. Thanks for being with us today and sharing your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Happy to be a part.
That's awesome.